In this video, I'm going to talk about the relation of dopamine to Occam's razor and how you can leverage Occam's razor with dopamine to increase your motivation in life. So I'm going to get into it really quickly. Occam's razor states simply that the simplest explanation is most likely the correct explanation. So the explanation in life that has the least amount of conditions in order to be true is the most likely to be true, because with each subsequent condition on a claim, so the more elaborate a story, the less likely that story is to be true, because the probability of those conditions being false increases with each condition. But the thing is, as humans, we love a story. And the ironic thing here is that we tend to believe an embellished story rather than the simplest story. And this is why Occam's razor is such a useful tool to interpret the stories or claims that we hear from media and people in our life to determine whether or not what they're saying is true. Because often if there's more conditions to a story or a claim, Occam's razor states that it's most likely not true, or there's a bit of embellishment. So how do we apply this to dopamine? We want to be cognizant of how we're stacking habits and how we're affecting our dopamine reward system. So if we require dopamine for motivation, which dopamine is necessary and is the molecule that motivates us and drives us outside of ourself, to seek outside of ourself, to conduct behavior, to attain a reward, well, if we release dopamine, then we learn to repeat that behavior. Now, if we want to do something such as studying for an exam, well, if we study for an exam and we prime ourselves by getting ready with drinking coffee, having an energy drink, maybe having a snack of chocolate, all these things are stimulating dopamine. Or if we go to the gym, but in order to go to the gym, we need to have a Monster energy drink and we have to be listening to music. Otherwise, we can't motivate ourselves to stay and complete our workout. Well, we're using external sources to stimulate the release of dopamine. And this is putting conditions on our habit and our behavior. So if we take away the conditions of, say, the chocolate and the coffee from studying, or the energy drink and the music from working out, we're less likely to do that behavior without the extra conditions of the caffeine, the energy drink, and the music or the chocolate. So if we apply Occam's razor to dopamine, motivation, and our habits, we want to do something within the least amount of parameters as possible, or with the least amount of conditions required to do that thing as possible. Because if we need more external sources to motivate us to do something, then when those sources aren't available, we're not going to have the drive or the motivation to do it by ourselves, because we're lacking the external source of stimulus that releases dopamine. So we're pretty well lowering our dopamine set point, and our dopamine drops below baseline, and we require that external source of dopamine to raise our levels above baseline just to get us motivated to do the thing that we want to do. Usually that's something that we dread doing, but it's something that we want to do for our betterment, or for our career, or for our studying, for our health, going to the gym. All these things take mental exertion and effort. Think about this the next time you try to stack more conditions onto the habit that you want to establish in life. So apply Occam's razor and make your habit as simple as possible. Remove the extraneous conditions and derive motivation intrinsically from your internal endogenous release of dopamine through doing the thing by itself. So I hope this video finds you well. Give me a like and subscribe. Check out this one for more.